Imagine being separated from your identical twin at birth, raised by different families and living entirely separate lives. Now imagine that, despite this separation, you and your twin led astonishingly similar lives. But how is that possible? What could explain the striking parallels in the lives of two people who grew up completely apart? This is the remarkable story of the two Jims, identical twins Jim Lewis and Jim Springer, who were separated shortly after birth. Living within miles of each other, these two men grew up unaware of each other's existence, yet their life choices, preferences and habits seem to be identical. Their tale is a fascinating exploration of the age-old question: is it nature or nurture that shapes who we are? What role does chance play in our lives? Welcome to History and Happenstance, where the intriguing world of history reveals its most peculiar coincidences. Journey with us through time as we explore strange parallels, curious connections, and baffling events that history has woven together. Uncover the truths, ponder the probabilities, and marvel at the mysteries of history's most surprising moments. In the year 1940, in the state of Ohio, USA, two identical twin boys were born into the world. But their destiny took an unexpected turn when they were separated shortly after birth and adopted by different families. Jim Lewis and Jim Springer grew up without any knowledge of each other's existence, their lives unfolding within a 45-mile radius of each other. Not much is known about their birth parents, and the circumstances that led to their adoption remain a mystery. Both sets of adoptive parents were aware that the child they were adopting had an identical twin, but did not know what became of the other. So, the boys grew up as only children, never knowing that somewhere nearby there was someone who looked exactly like them, shared their DNA, and was living a life uncannily similar to their own. Jim Lewis grew up in Lima, Ohio, where he was adopted by a loving couple who named him Jim. His early years were filled with the typical experiences of childhood, from school to sports to friendships, but he had no idea that another boy with his face, his smile, was growing up in Piqua, Ohio. Jim Springer's life unfolded in Piqua, where he too was adopted by a caring family who also chose to name him Jim. His upbringing was equally normal and uneventful, and he had no reason to suspect the existence of his twin brother. Though these two men were leading separate lives, their paths seemed to follow a strange pattern of synchronicity. The twists and turns of their lives remained hidden until a fateful day when they were 39 years old. It was then that their paths finally converged, and they were introduced to a world of coincidence that defied belief. When Jim Lewis and Jim Springer met for the first time at the age of 39, they could hardly believe the uncanny parallels in their lives. As they shared their stories, they discovered a series of bizarre coincidences. First, there were the obvious similarities, like their identical physical appearance and the fact that both were named Jim. But the more they talked, the more they uncovered a string of bizarre commonalities that went beyond their names and looks. Both Jims had married women named Linda, and in both cases their marriages had ended in divorce. Remarkably, after their divorces, both Jims had married women named Betty. But it wasn't just their marriages that had followed similar trajectories. Both had sons, and even more surprisingly, both sons were named James Allen, albeit with different spellings of the middle name. It was as if their lives had been scripted in advance, each event mirroring the other. Their careers had an eerie parallel too. Both had worked part-time in law enforcement as deputy sheriffs, and both had also worked in retail, with one Jim managing a store while the other was a security guard. They had similar tastes and habits too. Both Jims smoked the same brand of cigarettes, drank the same beer, and even drove the same make of car. Their favorite vacation spot, the same beach in Florida. But it wasn't just the big things in life that aligned. Even small, seemingly insignificant details matched up. For instance, both men bit their nails, and both had a habit of leaving little notes around the house, reminders for themselves or messages for their families. Their health histories bore striking resemblances too. Both had high blood pressure, and both had undergone vasectomies. The Jims even shared unique, peculiar quirks. When they were kids, both had built miniature circuses in their backyards and charged neighborhood kids to watch the show. As adults, both had a habit of sneezing loudly in elevators just to startle people. Even their personalities were strikingly similar. Psychologists who later studied them found that they had almost identical scores on personality tests, suggesting that their characters were shaped not just by their environments, but by their shared genes as well. It was a story that seemed too improbable to be true. How could two people who grew up in entirely different circumstances end up leading such eerily similar lives? The fascinating similarities in the lives of Jim Lewis and Jim Springer caught the attention of scientists and researchers who were eager to explore the deeper implications of their story. The twins became the subjects of a groundbreaking study conducted by Dr. Thomas Bouchard and his team at the University of Minnesota, where they delved into the mysteries of nature versus nurture. In the study, the twins underwent a series of rigorous psychological and physiological tests. The researchers examined everything from their personalities and interests to their brainwave patterns and medical histories. The goal was to uncover the extent to which their shared genetics had influenced their lives. The results were startling. Despite being raised in different households with different families, the twins had nearly identical scores on a wide range of measures, including personality traits, intelligence, and even their attitudes towards religion and politics. Their brainwave patterns were so similar that it was almost impossible to distinguish between them. It was a striking demonstration of the power of genetics in shaping who we are. But it wasn't just their shared DNA that was under scrutiny. The study also explored the role of chance and coincidence in their lives. For instance, what were the odds that both Jims would choose to marry women named Linda and later women named Betty, or that both would name their sons James Allen? These bizarre coincidences seemed to hint at something more, something that couldn't be explained by genetics alone. The story of the two Jims became a cornerstone of twin research and fueled the ongoing debate about nature versus nurture. Their lives provided a unique window into the complex interplay of genetic and environmental factors that shape our destinies. But they also raised questions that went beyond the realms of science, touching on the mysteries of fate, coincidence, and the inexplicable forces that govern our lives. The story of Jim Lewis and Jim Springer, the two Jims, raises philosophical questions that extend beyond the confines of scientific inquiry. Their lives seem to embody the age-old debate between destiny and free will. Were their similarities a product of their shared genetic code, or were there greater forces at play, guiding their paths in mysterious ways? Some might see their story as evidence of determinism, the belief that all events, including human actions, are determined by previously existing causes. In this view, the parallel paths of the two Jims were inevitable, shaped by their shared genes and predetermined by the universe's grand design. Others might interpret their story through the lens of synchronicity, a concept introduced by the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. Synchronicity suggests that seemingly unrelated events can be meaningfully connected not by cause and effect, but by a deeper underlying order. In this view, the uncanny similarities between the two Jims were not mere coincidences, but rather meaningful alignments that hint at a hidden harmony in the world. In the tale of Jim Lewis and Jim Springer, we find a captivating narrative that blurs the lines between science and serendipity, genetics and fate. Their story has fascinated researchers, philosophers, and the public alike, inviting us all to explore the deeper mysteries of life. As we ponder their tale, we are reminded that the world is full of remarkable coincidences, unexplained phenomena, and the unexpected intersections of lives. These moments serve as reminders that life is richer and more mysterious than we often realize, and that the world is brimming with wonder and curiosity. Perhaps we can all take a lesson from the story of the two Jims, embracing the awe and fascination that arise when we encounter the extraordinary and the ordinary. Their lives encourage us to embrace a sense of wonder, to stay curious, and to remain open to the mysteries that lie just beneath the surface of our everyday lives. As we continue on our own paths, let us consider the intricate tapestry of existence and the enigmatic forces that guide our journeys. Let us celebrate the beauty of life's coincidences, the unexpected alignments that connect us all, and the sense of wonder that accompanies the discovery of life's hidden harmonies.